What is up? What is up? Welcome to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we drink beer and we talk blood sport. I'm your host, Matt, and today, as always, we're going to be talking combat sports. There's a lot coming up this upcoming weekend. We have UFC Fight Night, Makhachev versus Green. We have Bellator 275, Musasi versus Vanderford, and then One Championship, Full Circle's they've got a card coming up. We're going to be making our picks on the UFC fight. And then also, we're going to go over some boxing news and some other combat sports news before we wrap things up. All right, that was quick. As always, we're going to be drinking beer. We got 2 frozen glasses today. And the beers that we're going to be drinking, this one is a hometown beer by the Y-city Brewing Company. It's blood orange. I thought it was fitting for our 10th episode. We're having 2 beers because it's our 10th episode. So, shout out hometown, blood orange, Y-city Brewing Company. We're going to see how this one looks. More of like a pinkish color. I suck at pouring because I messed that up big time. Alright, I'm going to let that die down while I introduce the other beer. This is Icelandic Icelandic White Ale. I've never had an Icelandic beer in my life, but I'm sure it'll be scrumptious. It's not white, but it's the color of a light beer. I am jacking up these pours today. My goodness gracious. Alright, so we'll let those simmer for a sec. Get the foam down because I'm sucking, and then we'll test them out. But while we're waiting for that, we'll go ahead and jump into our first topic. We have one championship. Let me get his name right. Reiner de Ritter versus Kierman Abasov. De Ritter's been the champ at 1 for a minute. He's a beast. I think he's a 2-division champ, but I'm not positive. Dude's legit. He's actually been calling out UFC stars. Thinks he can beat Israel Adesanya because they're the same weight class. That would be a fun matchup. But first, he's got Kierman Abasov in front of him. Abasov, he doesn't have a lot out there on the internet to kind of research him. I haven't seen him fight live ever. But from what I have seen, the guy's aggressive. He's strong. He has good ground and pound, good wrestling, and he just puts a lot of pressure up. I think that would be his key to victory, is to pressure and just kind of hold De Ritter down, and go for the control to get that victory. Probably a unanimous decision would be his only chance on that one. And then other fights on that card, I don't know too many people in one. It'd have to be somebody that used to fight in a U.S. organization for me to know them for the most part, unless they're really big time, like De Ritter or Christian Lee. Those guys, they're legit. Rod Tang, they're big dogs. All right. Foam still hasn't died down. I think I'm talking pretty fast. Who knows? Yeah, this is definitely a pinkish orange beer for the blood orange. So, blood, orange mixed together. Makes sense that it comes out that color. And then the Icelandic is like a golden color. Golden to me, at least. Yeah, that looks pretty scrumptious. I wonder if it's going to taste like a light beer or what it's going to taste like. We'll let you know about both of them, of course. That's pretty good. Hoppy, kind of. Not real juicy, so that's good because I wasn't looking to drink a flavored drink or anything like that. So that's a good beer. Give that one a 7. 7 flat. And as always, if you have suggestions for beers I should drink on the show, you let me know, and I will try them out. Now on to this Icelandic white ale. Let's see how this baby runs. It's a real easy drink. Really easy drink. Tastes a little citrusy. Definitely a little citrusy. It's a pretty good beer. We give it a 7.2, so a little bit better than the Y-City. Not a whole lot. They're about the same. Just a little bit better. Moving on. Still drinking beer, but we're done talking beer. We have Bellator 275, Mousasi versus Vanderford. Mousasi, absolute legend. He's been champion in Strikeforce, Cage Warriors, Bellator, Dream. He was the first and last, I think, middleweight champion there. And then Vanderford, he's undefeated at 11-0. He's got great wrestling. He's got good pressure. Keeps you down when he gets you down. He keeps you there. He's got good ground and pound. And that's his path to victory, is to get Mousasi down and go for ground and pound, because I don't think you'll get submission on a guy like Mousasi. He's just a vet, over 50 fights. He's like 48-7, so you're not going to submit him easily. And Vanderford, while he's good, he's still a little green with only 11 pro fights. One of his big claims to fame is he's married to Paige Van Zant, who's social media star and former UFC fighter, current BKFC competitor. So we'll have to see how the fight goes. His key to victory, though, is definitely to keep it on the ground and try to ride it out, whereas Mousasi, he can pretty much do whatever he wants anywhere as long as he's not on the bottom or giving up his back, which I don't see him doing. It should be a good matchup, though. We'll have to wait and see. And then the other fights on that card, just tune in, because they had some good fights, some impressive people last time. I don't know enough about the fighters that are on there, but it should be a pretty good card. Yeah, definitely going to have to check that one out. That's on Showtime this Friday, or Saturday, I believe. Yeah, Friday actually, the 25th. So definitely give that a look. We're going to take a brief break from the MMA game and talk boxing. Some things have been happening over the past week or so. Kell Brooks, he knocked out Amir Khan in the 6th round, so that puts an end to their rivalry, I imagine. Kell Brooks had good pressure. He was picking him apart with outside punches and just never really letting up. He looked a lot better than Amir Khan. He just outclassed him, I thought. In the 6th round, when it got stopped by the referee, Kell Brooks just kind of looked like he was playing with him, showing the ref I can hit him from wherever. And didn't seem like he was putting the most power on his punches. They were kind of arm punches, but I mean, it was over. They weren't, killer punches. When the ref stepped in, the ref could just tell Amir Khan wasn't able to defend himself against the damage that Kell Brooks was dealing out. So Brooks looked great. Khan should probably hang the gloves up. He looked like he's just not the same fighter he used to be. Chin's not there either. He didn't get knocked out cold, but I mean, you could see the damage with every shot. Other things happening in the boxing world. Tyson Fury, Dylan White, they have finally signed a contract to fight. Tyson Fury will be defending his lineal heavyweight title, and Dylan White has been saying he's wanted this fight for a while. I don't see this going in any sort of favor for Dylan White. Tyson Fury is the GOAT heavyweight boxer of this era. I don't know. I can't wait to watch the fight, because Fury puts on wars and he goes out there and just shows he's a competitor. He loves to show how much better he is than you, or that he is better. And I think he's just going to play with Dylan White and put him I think it'll probably be like a 4th, 5th round knockout, TKO type of thing, because Tyson Fury's just that good. The footwork, the hand speed, the defense, the evasiveness. The guy is the total package, and he's 6'9" or something, 270 pounds. The guy's legit. All right, and then upcoming fights that we have on the docket for this spring, really, that I'm looking forward to that have been announced. Josh Taylor, he's actually fighting this Saturday against Jack Catterall, defending his title. And then White Fury, that's April 23rd. We have Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. That's on April 30th. And Shakur Stevenson, he's one of those guys that he hasn't fought the toughest yet, but he's on his way up. He's got really good speed, really crisp boxing. He's a dog. He's been a dog for a minute, just hasn't quite gotten the chance to show it out yet, but he will. His time's coming. All right. Now we're going to talk a little bit about this UFC fight night that's coming up. A lot of fights on the card. We're not going to talk all of them today, but we're going to talk the ones that are highly anticipated, that are intriguing, that, fights that I would bet on. And we'll go over that. We'll go over my picks for that, who you should bet on. And, yeah, let me know what you think. Give me a holler. Give me a shout. So first, this fight card, let's get started. Islam Makhachev versus Bobby Green. And the first fight I want to start off with is Terrence McKinney versus, let me get the first name right, Fares Ziam. Ziam out of France, I want to say. He's a kickboxer. He's super talented. He can outpoint you. He can stop you. McKinney's a hype train. He's only had one fight in the UFC, but he knocked the guy out in 7 seconds. And on top of that, in his 11 wins, he has 7 first-round finishes. The guy knows how to finish, knows how to stop fights. He's a gamer. And his losses that he has on his record, he's like 11-3. One of them's to Derek Minner, who's a UFC vet. The other one's Sean Woodson on Dana White Contender Series 1 year. Another dog in the UFC. And then I didn't see who the third one was, but Terrence McKinney's the real deal. He's the underdog at plus 110, I want to say. So that would be the pick I choose. He just seems like a more well-rounded fighter, whereas Ziam's a kickboxer. He can fight. His key to victory would definitely be staying on the outside and trying to pick you apart with a jab and body kicks, leg kicks, things like that. Whereas McKinney, he can hold his own in the stand-up. He can turn it into a boxing affair, dirty boxing, keep it in the clinch. If it goes to the ground, he's talented there as well. He's got submissions. So I'm picking McKinney as the underdog, plus 110. Not a huge payout, but you're doubling your money plus a little bit. And then next fight, I think this one's dark horse for fight of the night. Alejandro Perez versus Jonathan Martinez. They're both strikers. They both they go out there to bang, and that's going to be a fun one to watch. Not a lot to say. They're both great strikers. I think Perez is going to win, but, man, I don't know, because puncher's chance for either of them. I think Perez is going to take it, though. Definitely going to be a war. I think it's going to be back and forth, probably 3 rounds. Probably going to end up being like a 29-28 split decision. One clearly wins the first round. Second will be close. Third will be the other one clearly winning. One of those kind of fights. I think Perez, just being a vet, being through those wars, he's got a lot more fights than Martinez. He's been in the UFC since 2014. So that's my pick as a plus 190 underdog. So you're almost getting twice as much back on him. And that fight really could go either way, but with the odds going at plus 190 for Perez, I got to take him because the payout's too good with Jonathan Martinez being the heavy favorite like he is for some reason, because I don't think it's that wide. It's not that closely contested, or not that wide open. It's pretty closely contested. We'll have to see. All right, and then last one before we get into the co-main and the main events, we have Arman Tsarukyan Tsarukyan versus Joel Alvarez. Arman is a really strong wrestler, really strong in the clinch, has good pressure. He shoots for a lot of takedowns, whether you'll get him or not. He's going to keep shooting. So he's going to play one game style, and his only loss in the UFC is to Islam Makhachev. So the guy's no scrub. I mean, he's been walking through his other fighters. And he's taking on Joel Alvarez, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace. It's a style of matchups, really. Is Joel's jiu-jitsu going to be able to take Tsukarian's wrestling? I don't think so. I think that wrestling is going to prevail in a unanimous decision victory on this one. I'd pick Tsukarian. He's a -220 favorite, but I think that it's pretty clear cut that he's going to walk away with that victory. So definitely want to bet on Tsukarian for that one. If you're doing a parlay, take Tsukarian. And on to the co-main event of the evening. We have Wellington Thurman, beef Wellington Thurman, because the guy's so damn beefy, versus Misha Surkarov. Thurman, he's a little more stout. He's a pressure fighter, in your face. He's got decent boxing, good jiu-jitsu, and he's got power. Both of them are kind of on a rough patch right now. I think 3-2 in their last couple fights for both men. I think just because Thurman has a better pedigree in jiu-jitsu, I want to say, and his pressure, I think he's going to be able to take out Surkanov. And he's younger. I think his chin's just held up better over time so far versus Surkanov, who's getting towards the later part of his career. Going to be a good fight, but I would pick Thurman as an underdog at +100, I want to say. Yeah, +100. So it's basically a pick 'em, but take Thurman on it because Surkanov's last fight was to Krzysztof Jotko, and he lost that. And Jotko, no scrub, but he's definitely not the dog he used to be. And if Jotko can knock you out, I think Thurman can knock you out or get you hurt enough to take you out on the ground. Those bigger Brazilian jiu-jitsu aces, not that he's an ace, but he's a beast on the ground. They really know just how to finish. They can get guillotines from just about anywhere or switch to a rear naked. And you see him do other crazy chokes also. So Wellington Thurman outmuscles him. Probably a submission. Alrighty. Can I update my score? I think that this one's better. We're going to go with 7-6. Yeah, 7-6. That's really good. I don't know, maybe the chug at the beginning kind of threw it off. That's a 7-6. Hard 7-6. All right, main event, Islam Makhachev versus Bobby Green. It was originally slated to be Islam versus Beneil Dariush. Just about a week ago, Dariush had a major injury, had to pull out of the fight. It was a leg or ankle injury. I think they said he cracked his fibula or tibula. I forget which one's in your leg, but he snapped it, broke it. Nasty injury, which sucks for Dariush, obviously. Hope he gets well soon. Islam, it sucks for him because everybody he's been supposed to fight has had to pull out due to injury last minute, so he keeps getting replacements, and people keep using that to dog on his record, saying he hasn't beaten anybody, which, I mean, yeah, you can say he hasn't beaten anybody that's in the top 5, I don't think, or even top 10, really, because Dan Hooker's dropping out of the weight class. Not his fault, though. I mean, he's game to fight anyone. It's just no one will fight him. Bobby Green steps in 10 days notice and says, yeah, I'll fight him. He just fought 14 days before this fight's going to happen on the last UFC pay-per-view February 12th, and he looked amazing against Nasrat Haqparast. And he's going to have to cut like 35 pounds to get to this weight that he needs to for the fight. it's going to be tough. And Makhachev, obviously the heavy favorite, just because of Khabib's pupil. He's been training for it, short notice. He's got that suffocating wrestling with the amazing grappling, where he can get a submission just about anywhere. But Bobby Green's boxing is really, really great, and he's got good power. It can knock you out. He throws from a weird angle. And I think he's going to go in there, and I don't think he's going to respect Makhachev like the other ones have. I think he's just going to try to swing hands. I mean, I may be wrong. I'm picking Makhachev to win, but I think there's a really good chance Bobby Green gets the knockout, and you can clip this. If this is gonna be I'm gonna clip this and put it everywhere if Bobby Green gets it, because he's got a really good chance of getting this knockout against Islam Makhachev. Makhachev's only loss is by knockout, but Bobby Green, I just read an article today, or an interview, where he said, I'm going to go in there and show these other lightweights what it's like when a gangster fights Makhachev. He's going to go in there, punch him in the face. He says, I don't give a fuck about what Makhachev has in his wheelhouse. I know what I have, and I love that he's going in knowing he's a puncher. He's got a puncher's chance. That's for damn sure. Dude's a dog. I'd love to see Bobby Green pull it out for the US of A. I'm picking Makhachev, but if you have some spare money lying around to throw a bet down, throw it on Bobby Green. He's a plus 550 underdog at the time of this filming, and you're gonna get You're gonna get hella money back. I mean, you put $50 down, you're getting like 250, 275 plus back. So you're gonna get a total of 325 if you put 50 down. Good bet, because I just got a feeling he's the man to do it. He don't give a fuck. And I also, one more thing I read about Bobby Green, he was talking about, he was talking about it, but someone else was also, where he grew up in foster homes. His parents weren't physically, or just they weren't fit to raise him. They had a lot going on in their lives. So he grew up in foster homes, and his dad that raised him in the foster system, he brought him out there, and he's like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what skin color you are, what matters is in here. And he just seems like a really solid dude. Bobby Green, he's had a rough life, and he's making the most of it now in the UFC. And I'd love to see this guy go out there and take Makhachev's ranking, burst into the top 10 at least, and it's gonna be a war, I think. If not, Makhachev's gonna take him down and submit him early, but let's hope that it's Bobby Green's night. All right. And then wrapping things up, we're just going to go over some more combat sports news. That's my little pupper walking, and my fiance walking by. Here, try this. It's the one that you got when we went to Y-City that I didn't get to try. Sorry about that. Wrapping things up, we'll go over some more combat sports news, and then we'll finish things off here. But last week we had a UFC Fight Night, Walker versus Jamal Hill. We had Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Joaquin Buckley, and it turns out Al Hassan broke a rib in that fight in the second round, actually, and that really makes his third round performance that much more impressive. He had a lot of judo throws, was maintaining the takedowns, he's doing well in the clinch, so doing that with the broken rib, that's impressive. I hate to hear it coming after so many other excuses, saying he got injured in his training camp and he got COVID and all this, that, and the other. Those things suck. I just hate when they come out after you lose, because nobody ever talks about that stuff when they win. I don't know. Logan Paul and Arnold Schwarzenegger are co-promoting or putting on a slap fighting championship. You know, the one where they stand at an arm wrestling table and they just smack each other in the face with the powder on their hands. they're putting one of those on March 5th in Columbus, Ohio. So might have to head up to that one and check that out because that'll be hilarious. Logan Paul's on record saying, how crazy is this? I'm doing it just because of the absurdity of it. Two men just slapping each other in the face until they fall. It's really the craziest sport in the world. Worse than bare knuckle, I think. I mean, just standing there and getting smacked in the fucking face. Fucking nuts. All right. Mike Perry, bare knuckle, speaking of. Mike Perry is. Come here, pup. Sorry. My puppy's looking for her seat. Mike Perry is calling for a title shot against Thiago Alves in Bare Knuckle Fight Club. Give it to him. He's a UFC pro. He's got a good following, and that'd be a good way to get a bigger following for Bare Knuckle Fight Club. He also said when he was fighting Julian Lane, he was expecting like one shot and his hands start hurting. He said it wasn't really like that fighting him. When he was fighting him, it was, every punch it started hurting worse and worse to where at the end of the fight he just didn't even want to throw punches because his hands hurt so bad. I don't know. I'd like to see Mike Perry do some major things in Bare Knuckle Fight Club. So hopefully he can get that title shot, get that victory, and keep the hype train rolling. He won his Triller event, and now he won his bare knuckle debut. Let's see what else we got for Mike Platinum Perry. All right. Paul Daly has his retirement fight set for UFC. That's a long shot, Paul. For Bellator in London, and he's fighting the guy that broke the other dude's ribs with a spinning back kick in about 40 seconds of his last weekend's fight in Bellator, Andrei Koreshkov. And hell yeah, Paul Daly's a banger. Don't know enough about Koreshkov. Probably should because I know he's a former Bellator champ. That's May 13th in London, and I'm sure that it'll be on the Showtime app if you're watching Bellator. That'll be a fun one to check out. Paul Daly puts on wars, win or lose. He's fun to watch. And then other things going on. Jamal Hill, Volkan Ozdemir. Volkan is a solid UFC light heavyweight, but not the upper echelon. He lost to Yuri Prohaska, and I forget who his other loss was in his last fight. But he's talking shit to Jamal Hill, saying, I'm still doubting him. I don't think he's a real deal. And Jamal's like, listen, you lost to some guy in their UFC debut and someone else in your last fight. I'm going to kick you out of the UFC when I beat you. I think that's a bad matchup for Ozdemir. I just think that Jamal Hill's that hype train. He's not going to let someone like Ozdemir, who's also a striker, he's got good wrestling, but not enough to mess with someone like Jamal Hill. Good matchup for Hill to move up the rankings even more, get closer to that top 5 spot to where you can start calling for the belt and start calling for those matchups. And they both want the fight. Give it to him. Let's get a date, UFC. His last fight was only like 3 minutes, so let's get a date. He's not hurt. He's just needs a couple weeks of rest between camps. And then finally, Darren Till training with Khamzat Chimaev. Said Khamzat kicked his ass. The videos were hilarious. Khamzat's calling him fat. Darren Till looked a little fat. I saw a bunch of memes where people blew up Darren Till's face. The guy's coming off of an ACL injury. He's probably been sitting on the couch for a while. But it was funny. And then Darren Till says that he's eager to come back to the UFC and get a fight. He just would prefer it not to be a main event. He'd like to ease into things. Just with an injury. You don't want a 5-rounder right off the bat. And he looked like he was out of shape also, which makes sense. So, can't wait to see Darren Till fight. He has been losing a lot lately, but maybe it was because of injury and matchups. Give him somebody in the bottom 10 of the top 10. Like the bottom 10 of the top 10. Bottom 5 of the top 10. Darren Till is a dog. He just needs to work his way up to it. Get his confidence back. He's been losing a lot. then, as always, I appreciate you for tuning in. If you could give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Comment your thoughts. If you have good beers that you think will be a 10, comment them. I need to know. And again, as always, don't give me Coors Light, Bud Light, Busch Light. None of that. We don't want that. Give me some good beers. Doesn't have to be an ale. Can be a lager. Can be a stout. Can be something I ain't ever heard of. I'd like to do a flight on the show sometime. The 4 8 ounces. We'll have to see. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, this has been Blood and Beer. I'm drinking Blood Orange by Y-City Brewing Company. If you live in the Muskingum County area, it's on Linden Avenue, and they have a lot of great beers there, all brewed by the man that works the bar. It's delicious, so go check it out. It's on Linden Avenue next to the, I think it's La Cabra's Tacos, where the old Smiling Goat used to be, as everyone would know it as, or right across from Cozy's. Thanks for tuning in.